The following interview is with SunBhie, the current coach for Team Fnatic that will be heading to the Singapore Major coming up in a couple of weeks. He has an extensive history in Dota 2, both as a player and as a coach, with a long tenure served alongside Team Secret, who won many golds along the way. SunBhie's an interesting guy, currently staying in Seoul, South Korea, and someone who's not afraid to share his bold opinions, especially on the social media platforms like Twitter. In this interview, I get to know SunBhie a little bit better and talk to him for the first time as we break down some of his edgier tweets as well as all of his takes about this DPC season. If you enjoy the podcast, as always, remember to give us a like here on YouTube, shoot us a comment with your feedback and criticism, and find us on all the usual podcast platforms like Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. All right, folks, so welcome back to Zyori Plus One. We've got SunBhie here, the coach of Fnatic. He was a player up until 2016. He's been coaching pretty much ever since then, last 4 or 5 years. Full-time Dota 2 coach. Right now, he's living in Korea, and we got a lot to talk about. So much going on in DPC right now. The first league just ended. We know who's upper, who's lower for every division, and we've got the major coming up. And you're going to be traveling to that major in Singapore before too long, eh?
Yeah. I guess we'll be going on 28 or something. I think it's like 3 days before we actually get to play, something like that.
Okay.
So which is what every team's doing.
Any special parameters for COVID travel? As we were just talking about it in our little pre-show. You're in Korea, the rest of the teams in other parts of Southeast Asia. So any idea of what the travel situation looks like going from Seoul to Singapore?
First of all, I don't know all the details because details are boring, but I know some of it. And I think what Sunsfan discussed in his podcast was not entirely accurate, but I can't go down the list of things and bother to correct them all. But some things is I think it's like when we arrive, we quarantine, we count the first day, and then we count the next day, and then from the third day, I think we are free to go into the practice room and such. So, from Korea to Singapore is straight. It's just direct flight. It's easy. I'm in Asia. Singapore's Asia. For us, it's not a big issue. I think all the other teams coming from really far, such as Beast Coast, which is really far, right? It's they got a minimum 20 to 30 hour flight. Probably it's 25 on average. It's really long. It's a really long travel.
Right.
So they're gonna have it rough. And it's a really weird situation because COVID is scary, and the incubation period is, I don't know if 3 days is enough. I think the median is 5 days.
Yeah.
So it is a bit risky for people involved. And there's all these rules that are a bit weird, practice rooms only available until a certain time, and then we're kicked out. But
are they team-based practice rooms? So, or is it individual, or how? Because I've heard that the Singapore system is very strict, where it's a lot of time alone in your own room, and you have to be escorted from room to room to make sure you don't go off the path, and that it's very, very well controlled in that regard.
Yeah, I heard the same, but these things seem to change every so often about the very details of them. So I don't know if what we have right now is final. I don't even know what it is. I stopped keeping track of it. I just know that it is. You're right. It is very seriously, taken very seriously. The practice room, as far as I understand, is a team thing. So, excuse me, I don't really get the logic of until a certain time thing, because does COVID sleep at night? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? So that part's a bit weird to me. I think most of us, the scene is grateful for a LAN, so they're just dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I think 60% of the teams entering the tournament will go home empty-handed after a rather strict, stringent, not a very fun LAN environment. So I don't think they're looking forward.
It's going to be like a half LAN. Half the fun of LANs in the past is, you get to socialize and counter mingle, after parties, that kind of stuff. This is going to be way different. Real quick before we go too far, I don't know if it's your mic or Discord, but I'm catching a little feedback. Do you want to maybe just Like, do you want to call me on Discord and maybe we'll get a more favorable server and see if that has any effect? If not, we can just roll with it. But
no, that's annoying. I'll be right back then, I guess.
yeah, all right, cool. So yeah, we're just gonna do a quick recall, see if it helps. I don't know if y'all were hearing that, but I sure was. So all right, let's try this. Hello, test.
Hello. Is it a little better?
That sounds way better. So yeah, I think it was server related. Okay, I'm glad we did that.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, it might have come back. All right, well, we'll try it out for a little bit here. Either way, it wasn't too bad. It was just one of those, like, if a quick reset will fix it, figure it was worth a try. Anyhow,
Wait. Maybe I can fix it.
It does sound almost like a little voice mod type thing, like it's trying to.
Oh, really? Voice mod?
Well,
Hold up.
It's hard to explain. You could pop on the stream if you want, and you could listen to it back yourself. It's hard to explain. It's like I can understand you, but there's a slight. I don't know how. Yeah. Snap crackle.
Yeah. 1 second. Give me. I think I'm gonna try to plug in a. I don't know if it's gonna matter, but Ethernet cable. Don't know if it's related to.
Yeah, I don't know. As Picker said, it does almost sound like a short in the headset a little bit. Maybe it's worth like a replug, like a different USB or something.
Well, it's a wireless, so I don't know.
It's wireless. Oh, okay. Maybe something's fucking with your wireless connection.
Wait.
Damn wireless.
I just restarted it. I doubt that's what fixes it. Is it any better at all?
No, I don't think so. Do you have TeamSpeak installed by chance? I have a TeamSpeak server that we could use and see if that makes a difference. Then just use
let's try that.
Discord for.
I gotta go install it on this PC. Yeah.
Give me just.
Well, I could always use my phone.
Okay. Just a little live troubleshooting here. Trent and I in the past have used TeamSpeak because it's more reliable, and like sometimes Discord is just randomly shitty. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Discord related, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But we could.
No worries. Gonna try to plug in the Ethernet. Jokes. I don't have a thing. No port. GG.
The live tech support. I love it.
Oh,
this is the real esports experience here, guys.
Shit that go wrong all the time.
We always joke about the Captain's Draft 4 LAN that we did in DC when there were tech issues. Like Shane was our go-to PC guy, and he said every time he showed up in a player room with his screwdriver, the players would just start laughing at him. Like, you're the tech support that we called? Shane with a screwdriver? That's the tech support? In my head, that's what I think of anytime someone says esports tech support, like Shane with his screwdriver.
Why? It's such a invaluable resource for not just Team Secret, but even tournaments, I think, because he does a lot of like troubleshooting on spot.
Yeah.
Extremely resourceful guy. Extremely resourceful. I think it might be internet connection related too.
It might be.
But I am downloading TeamSpeak as we speak. 1 minute.
Yeah, it did get a little worse while you were downloading, so that would make sense. No worries. I'm optimistic about TeamSpeak. She's treated me well in the past.
Yeah, it's very popular in Europe, I think.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings flaming Discord, right? Because it's free, and for being free, it works pretty damn well. But using it for like actual broadcast stuff, it's just not quite stable enough. And having a private server for TeamSpeak is, I don't think we've ever had a time where our TeamSpeak server has gone down or like crapped out on us. It was really a Suns fan thing. Got to give credit where credit's due. He was the one that championed TeamSpeak culture amongst the Moonduck people.
And that guy's great.
True old school gamer.
Oh man, my shit is slow, son. The hell?
I thought Korea was known for your bitchin' internet. I thought it was the whole thing. You guys have Wi-Fi and 5G everywhere.
No, that's true. That part's true. It's just my laptop is slow. My what is this called? Surface Edge. It's going. It's going. Yeah, no, it's actually quite impressive. Actually, the internet here. It's so strong that there are a lot of people who don't even have internet connection at home. They just have like unlimited data, and they just use the phone tether, and you can play games on it with like really good ping.
That's insane. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So you wouldn't be paying for internet connection. There's no need.
I guess that's the future, huh? I mean, our internet here is where I live in Colorado it's pretty good. It's just very expensive. It's overpriced for what it is. I pay like $250 a month for internet.
Oh shit! I thought I paid a lot. Actually, holy shit. Canada is. I think Canada has an extreme premium on their internet too. I think they're supposed to pay the most, like metric wise, but I get a really shitty one, and I pay around like 120 Canadian, so it's like $100 USD a month.
I think we have a plan like that, but it's like really shitty. Like I don't think we could stream or do stuff on it. Like that.
Unreal.
I think we get 250 down, 20 up, something like that for 250 a month on business class line. It's pretty pricey.
Yeah, those silly tiered things like that, man.
Although as we're chatting now, yeah, let's try TeamSpeak, but say it is actually sounding a little better. So it might be connection related, but either way.
I think so. Okay, it's installed.
I was just looking at old pictures on Instagram before we came on, feeling old, man. Pictures from events in like 2016. Oh, oof.
Yeah, it's Dota's been around for 10 years. Dota 2's been around for 10 years, really.
Looking at a picture of Slacks wearing a Digital Chaos jersey. My God.
From the days of roaming the streets of Seattle on YouTube to whatever he is now.
So young.
Pretty much the face of Dota community at this point. All right. I'm joining the server.
Cool.
Do I mute this? I think I mute this. Hello? Is it better?
Hello, hello. That does sound good.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think Discord's a little laggy, so it might be some sync issues or whatever. We'll leave the camera on, leave that in the background. Be totally fine. Not worried.
Excellent. All right.
Might need to adjust your sensitivity just slightly. It's picking up my voice a little bit in your headphones. I think the sensitivity is super soft.
1 second.
Or you've got me at a deafening level in your headset.
No, not quite. It does that. Sometimes it picks up the.
I think it's under the capture and then the voice detection slider.
Yes.
Slider to the right a pinch.
Automatic hybrid. I like hybrid. All right, we good?
Hello, test.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Oh yeah, you can see it on your end. There you go. I'll keep blathering for you. Check. There we go. Getting into territory.
Turn you down a bit.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Does it work?
Yep, I think we're good now. Okay.
Oh, thank God.
There we go. All right, perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're 14 minutes into the podcast and we finally got it working. But thank you for bearing with me there, SunBhie. I appreciate. Some people are like, when that happens, they flop around like a magic carp. Like, I don't know how to team speak. I'm the coach. That's all I do. So I appreciate you being able to roll with the punches, man. What the hell were we talking about though before that? I've already forgotten. COVID,
DPC,
traveling,
Singapore,
Singapore.
COVID, yeah, stuff like
So,
that.
oh yeah. So I think one of the things you mentioned, like, it's a pretty risky event, knowing that 60% of the teams are going to walk away with $0. I think that's one of the big things that people are upset about.
Yeah, that part. Like when I was reading the introduction of the next season's DPC like last year, and which was brought forth with the trying to reignite the trying to give life into tier 2 scene and whatnot, which is good, and there's not a single soul in the Dota verse that would say this is a wrong thing to do. I think everybody, like it, everybody in the scene wants a fresh blood, right? Like who doesn't want another Sumail, another Thompson, or what have you? So to say that the top teams, are complacent and like they don't care is untrue. They want there to be tier 2 because it's good for everyone. Now, last year, going back to that, last year when I was reading it, I thought there was going to be 3 majors. And when I look at that 3 majors, it's like, oh, it's the same budget. It's just spread across. And like, no, it's actually 2 majors. So actually there is a reduction.
For this season, yeah, because this one missed we basically missed a third of what was supposed to be the first season. So this is like an anomaly one. But you're right, we didn't get that money's just gone. None of it got kicked back into the second and third one.
Yeah. And actually the money is just it just keeps disappearing. It just keeps on disappearing. And like for the very top teams that are always competing for number 1 and number 2, actually even number 2 is kind of rough in Dota. Like Dota like is a number 1 kind of a game. I mean, unless we count. I mean, TI is a special beast, but we'll get to TI later. But yeah, so for a team that wins a lot, which is obviously Team Secret, it doesn't mean it affects them the least. But all the mid-tier teams, so like kind of funny, it's right, like the middle class, they get screwed really hard. So I mentioned in one of my tweets that if you win the regionals, like let's say that just some team does amazing in the regional and they win it, they get 30 grand. 30 grand across 5 players, 6K, which is not going to be the case, right? There's an org cut and then there's a coach cut. Maybe there's a manager cut even. But let's say it's 6K per player. That's 1 season. They go to the major. Somebody gets food poisoning. I don't know. Something awful happens. They choke, whatever. And not even that terrible. They just couldn't make it to top 8. And that's it. For the single season, they made 6K per player. And the next season, they're like, all right, guys, let's do it. They win the regionals. They get the first place again. They go to the major. Something terrible happens again. Bad luck. I don't know. Whatever. Again, couldn't get it. That's another 6K. So that's it. 12K. 12K a season. Minus the TI. And TI, anything can happen in TI. So you really can't know. And some people are saying that like it shouldn't be on Valve to really like pay these players in a sense. And that is true. But at the same time, the salaries are like they have a relationship with like everything else too. Like
well, it's the ecosystem's all relative to itself, and even just seeing major prize pools going from $1 million to 500K, sponsors like a lot of people outside of the ecosystem that are looking at Dota. It's all about the prospects, right? How are we trending? How are we moving? What's going to be the next trendy thing? And seeing $1 million cut into 500K, that's not a good prospect, right?
No. And Dota is not a very attractive game for sponsors. Dota is a very unattractive game for organizations and sponsors. And I don't think I heard from anyone that I know. It's not like I go around asking. That's not my shit. But I don't know if this DPC had made things more attractive. I think it had the potential to. Did it really come out like that? I'm not really sure. Like we can take a case study of say a most dominant team in our scene, and see if they have picked up any new sponsors in the past 1 or 2 years of their dominance. Well, which is Team Secret, right? They went in like 7 to 8 months of just how many is like 7 tournament wins or something like that, which is insane. And they've, I've been on team with them too, and like they were very dominant at the time. And did they get any sponsors during that time? I mean, they're getting the most exposure of all any team in Dota. Did they pick up any? I don't
Yeah.
think so, which reflects the scene,
I mean, there's
So there
truth there.
is.
It's also got to remember being number one. I'm sure sponsoring Secret comes at a premium. So they are also looking for a very specific set of like true tier one sponsors. I think. I don't know, but if I were at Secret, that would be my thought. So they might outclass a tier of sponsors that are still viable, but can't afford the 6-figure starting point to get on the Secret jersey. But I do agree with your point overall. I like what you said about how this season or that this whole format could have had that big impact to jumpstart things, but it kind of didn't because of the way it was rushed, especially around the holidays. Like I worked pretty closely with Dota Pit for South America, and having about a month's runway from complete green light to first broadcast day, and there's Christmas and New Year's in between during those 30 days. That's not a lot of time to sell sponsors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't
That's a
think it
common
really
theme.
did.
It's a common complaint, I think, among the TOs that like we just don't have the time to sell sponsors. And I think there's a disparity on how Valve looks at things, because they run TI and they're like, dude, we run TI, and like, what's the deal? Like we get sponsors, like if we want, like. But I think the TOs have a rough time, so that's an issue. There's always issues, which always I feel like it goes back to the fact that Dota doesn't have an esports director. And Dota is as we mentioned earlier, Dota 2 is a 10-year-old game. Dota itself is an older game than that, but Dota 2 is already, now we're on our 10th year since it's international one, and we don't have an esports director. And there are, as a gamer in today's market, I think they have a lot of options. There's so many games that are trying to grab your attention. They want you to play, and they make it attractive for you to play and for you to stay in that game. But Dota, I feel like they're still kind of behind the times. Like during a COVID time, there was nobody on a payroll to think about how to make this all work, how to make Dota esports work. There's literally nobody on a payroll. That's their job. They're just thinking about how to make Dota esports work. But there's not a single person responsible for that in the Dota, and I think that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I can verify that from the little bits I've heard from some of the leagues. Some people exchange notes and stuff, and it sounded like it was the classic, we're giving you part of the prize pool. Tell us how you're going to run the event. We'll give you the thumbs up if it's okay. And that's kind of the extent of communication you get from Valve. You can ask them questions. They'll answer questions. If you have issues, they'll sort of help you out. But pretty much it's just, our part is giving you the money and giving you the DPC stamp as the organizer. Pretty much the rest of the magic is on you. And I don't even know if that's unfair. It's just, it echoes the point that you're making, that it is so much more hands-off than I think the average person realizes.
And I think it can be hands-off. It just has to be diligent. There just has to be someone on like what's impressive to me, like I hate to compare, but it's a relevant one. So League of Legends had a Worlds, right? Why did they have Worlds? Because they had a whole branch within that company, a whole team of people thinking about how to make League of Legends esports work during COVID times.
Right.
Dota simply doesn't have that. I don't think it's a matter of resources either. They just
it's sort of a matter of culture, I think, partially,
perhaps,
right?
Yeah. So that's really unfortunate. And I think slew of problems in our scene would come because of that. I think it's because of the fact that there isn't that guy, one dedicated guy, who's just committed to thinking about this. So that's that. And DPC system itself, like the way the points are spread and whatnot, is all very. It's a hard problem to fix. There's so many weird things about it. Like Europe is just so hard. It's just objectively such an incredibly difficult region, and like getting points arguably is easier in a major for European teams than it is in their regionals. Like if you think about that, like there is an incentive for the European teams to actually want to go to a major, because to get even a single point in the regionals, you have to play like 7 different teams, 7 different killers,
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that the teams that are going to the major are strong teams, but if you do make it to the playoffs, like straight,
Yeah.
you need to be 2 teams. You need to be just 2 teams in order to get any bit of points. And you could, maybe you'll 2 teams instead of playing
That's pretty
7
wild.
different killers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is an incentive for other regions teams, like weaker regions, to not go to the major, because it's easier to get points in their own regionals, actually. And points are what matter. Points are what matter. It's a matter of perspective. This 500K major versus $40 million TI, and
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing.
One of the things that you had tweeted that I think was pretty on point, it's a great little soundbite. Distribution change is good, budget change is not. This idea of, this is an improvement in terms of getting more money down towards the bottom, right? These Division 2 teams now have a way to make a little bit of money playing Dota where they never even had a chance before. Okay, that's pretty cool. But looking at this situation objectively, I think you have to say it's come at the cost of the top, right? We haven't just added more to the bottom. We have maybe redistributed in the wrong way, where TI is still this insanely top-heavy event. Most of the money is still going to 2 or 3 teams that place at TI, right? I mean, that part of the system is still fundamentally unchanged.
I mean, the TI money, I think, is pretty generous, even up to a certain placement. It's not bad at all. Like even up to like top 8, I think. But
I just meant in terms of percentages of
Look, who's being really squeezed here are the mid-tier teams, or the mid-tier teams, who are still arguably like top-tier teams.
So
like
what is this to you? Like 4th through 8th of Division 1 in any given region, something like that? Like you're tier 1, but you're not top of Division 1 level tier 1?
No, let's look at it from, we can just go to like Gosu Gamers rankings, or just look at it by the team MMR, and we just look at it from the 9th place, right? Because top 8 is the only one that gets any money, right?
Yeah.
Which is still very low, but they get something. If you look at from 9 to like 16, you have names like OG, Liquid, Fnatic, Lions, like IG.
So you're right.
Really good teams, man.
According to Gosu Gamers, the in order 1 through 8: Secret, LGD, Aster, Virtus Pro, Vici, Elephant, Quincy Crew, Alliance. That's 8.
Right.
And then 9th is Liquid, 10th is OG, 11th is Navi, 12th is Nigma.
Yeah. So if you let's say that these rankings are perfect and they're correct, and like they're gonna place that exactly in the major, then these are very strong teams that are gonna travel halfway across the world and go home empty-handed. Not even points. Not even DPC points.
Right.
So that's and there are people that are saying like, yeah, but it's not $0. So you play the regionals and you got some money there. Well, that's one tournament, and this is another, the way I see it.
They're kind of separate events. It's sort of a qualifier for the major, but it's also it's a 6-week league. I mean, if you look at the time for the prize pool, it's not that much, and it's tempting I've seen people post this. It's tempting to say, well, the teams only have to play 1 series a week, so it's actually pretty good money per series. But when DPC is on, there's nothing else that you can play in. So it's not like you can use that time to grind other ESL events or other big, like, $1 million prize pool gigs. You're stuck just all in on your 1 series a week or series and a half a week, whatever it is. So you're barely getting made whole for your time investment to play in the league with the league prize pools, right? I mean, am I crazy?
Yeah. Oh, it's deceptive too, because it is 1 series a week, and like people might be sitting there like, it's like 1 series a week. That's not a lot of time investment. And yet it is. Because, it depends on the team to team, but our team is a team that perform in scale to the amount of work that went into it. So we put a lot of time into our prep, into like before our series. You know, we play a lot of games, a lot of scrims, a lot of pubs, and we do a lot of discussions. And the day comes, we play. You know, there's a lot of like things that you don't see. There's a lot of time investment. I would argue that I work like 6.5 days a week. I'm not complaining. Like, you know,
Mhm.
I do understand that I live a life of privilege, and this is a great gig, whatever. But still, it's a lot of time investment that people don't see, and it is that important. If you're not there to just collect the Vel bucks because you don't have aspirations to make it to the major or the TI, which there are some teams I feel like they're like that, or they were not like that, but halfway through the season they realize they can't, so they don't really care that much anymore. So their effort just drops, like just plummets, because there's no chance of them going to a major or TI, or at least not getting any PC points. Okay, so it is that important. Regionals are insanely important. They're crazy important.
Mhm.
What happened to Viking GG? I don't know if people realize just how demoralizing it is. You know, no relegation matches, right?
Yep.
The fact that they went to Division 2 in the second season is GG. It's GG. They have to play open. They have to play the qualifiers now for the TI.
Yeah.
There's no way to recover from that. They're just completely fucked in a sense. Um, and that's why these DPC matches, even though they're once a week, super important. Super important. You cannot drop a single series. It's just like crazy important.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean
moreover, yeah.
that is. Do you find that to be an upside? Like, this is the first time that I can remember since I've been casting Dota that teams have been able to put that much prep and weight on individual series. Like, it's always been these chaotic, 16 teams star ladder group stages. Like, there's always been more games really than we could process, and now we have this opposite problem where it's almost too slow. But is there an upside being able to like really prep and go that deep? Like, do you feel like you guys are able to play at a different level when you have that kind of time to rest and prepare in between?
I think it kind of favors someone like me. But that's just my guess. Because I like putting in the time and the effort of prepping, and I think it's a fun thing to do, and I think that's where my value shows. But um, it is a very different thing from the past. Um, there are Dota geniuses in our scene that just they just get it really quickly, really, really quickly. Because Dota is a crazy game.
Mm-hmm.
You could go into one game in the same series. You can go into game one and think like this hero's garbage, and then like the next game you're like, guys, we have to ban this hero. This hero is just, guys, we need to ban it. It's that kind of a game, and I'm not really sure if I'm so quick to that, to recognizing these things as fast as some of the other players, and they're like so fast on the spot. Do I like it? I like it. Does everyone like it? Probably not.
Mm.
But yeah.
From a commentary standpoint, it's something that we've talked about a lot with like researching picks and history, and we always go back to drafting. Like, all right, if we know it, they definitely know it. And so, I mean, in South America, it's a little different because I think even in the upper division, like half the teams don't even have coaches. So that's a region where just having a coach gives you such a benefit to utilize that time in a way that's useful compared to teams that, like Thunder Predator going to the major. They don't have a coach, buddy. They're coachless.
I don't know if you really need a coach. Like, I think it
Damn.
really depends on the
A
team. I
coach
mean,
saying you don't need a coach? That's some honest shit right there, dude.
yeah, I mean, like, it really depends. Coaches may really not be a necessary thing depending on the team.
Hmm.
Like, it really depends on the team culture, and the relationship between the captain and the coach has to be incredibly healthy. And what is a coach there to do? Like, the coach has to realize what he's there to do. It's not always like, it's not like traditional sports, you know? Like, sometimes you're just a third opinion because it's better than not having it, but third opinion that the team can trust, not
Mm-hmm.
just any opinion, right?
Yeah.
But like, it really depends on the team, like what your role is. I think in Asian teams, the coaches are a bit more traditional, and in the Western teams, the coaches are a bit more on the back line.
Mm,
But again, it just all depends.
yeah.
It's a fun gig.
Do you
But
miss
yeah, I mean,
playing? I mean, are you 100% happy as a coach? Do you ever get a little? It's a control thing. That's what I've heard a lot of coaches that I've talked to say, that the hardest part is like they don't have to listen to anything you say, right? You're sort of along for the ride when the team is competing, when they're in the booth and you're just watching, and that's over time wears you down a little bit. Let's say.
I think that that is definitely more relevant in like Western teams.
Okay.
I think in Asian teams, coaches carry more weight. Like as I understand it, like ROTK, it was like the brain and the captain of the team. Like his words had weight. He called the shots on like what worked and what didn't. For me, I think like because I come from both backgrounds, I don't know. I just try to be useful as much as possible. Hopefully, like, and if I'm sticking around, I guess they find me useful. That's how I see it. Um, do I miss playing? I think it would be a lie to say that I don't, but not nearly as much as before, because I know very well that I am not competitive anymore. You know, like when you just
Hmm.
suck at a game, just pisses you off. It's like,
I hear you, dude. I've been
ah,
sucking at
yeah.
Dota for a long time, and I'm still playing, so I'm with you.
It's just it robs the fun away of like you just see like your terrible self and you're like, ah man, like like
Yeah.
it's not like I was better than this at least. I know that I'm not competitive anymore, so there's no drive, and I would really, 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 really try to avoid playing, even as a stand-in for my own team, because I think that corrupts the coach-player relationship, and that never seemed to end well for the
Mm.
people that I mean, unless you're Seb. But that guy's an exception. He's just
Yeah.
too godlike. What can you do? Yeah,
The outliers. Yeah.
really is.
Man, I just noticed your birthday. We're a month away from what, 31, right? Wow.
Yeah,
I
you
guess
guys are in.
that's oh yeah, Korea, you guys have a different age system. I always forget.
No, it's pretty much the same, but like they count as one since you're born. But I mean, I stopped counting
I st-
after I hit 30. It's
Yeah,
just every year is like, yeah, I get it. I'm old.
exactly. It feels weird saying happy. It's like a happy birthday is like this weird, ironic thing to say to somebody at that age. It's like, you're just reminding me now, man. There ain't nothing happy about it. Just the happiest birthday gift you can give me is let me forget that it's my birthday.
Dude, I lose like reaction games with like non-gamers. Like and I lose like 10-0 too. Like those Mario Party games. It's just purely reaction
That
based.
Fall Guys shit. Yeah.
I can't beat him. I can't beat him. Just 10-0. Like yeah, it's just not even a gamer. So it's like, all right, I give up. Whatever, man.
Well,
You
and
win.
I mean, one thing about your coaching like resume is how few teams you've coached for, yet you've been coaching for so long. Like you were the coach for Secret Foot 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that. And then
Yeah, that was a sweet gig. That was a lucky one.
a lucky one, huh? Why do you say that? Just quality of players and whatnot?
Well, lucky because honestly, like how how did I get in that team? Like just sheer luck. Just happened to have MP in that team. MP recommended me, and I guess I stuck around. In a sense, that team was it's in the it's I mean, I joined at a rough time, right? It was right after their scandal.
And that was the
And
first event they played in was the Dota Summit 7, and the roster
yeah,
was MP, Mid One, Kezu, Yapzor, Puppy. So I think that was the first event you actually coached them.
yeah, that was a fun experience. It was the first time, and I legitimately like I just like asked like puppies like why do you like your puppy like why do you care about my opinion? And he was very real about it, like because I didn't. He was very real about like you know what he needs from a coach and whatnot. And I was like, all right, I could work with this. It kind of like right away you talk to a guy and you kind of realize like, okay, like there's a reason why this guy's been winning for like the past like 15 years. These are very special people. The scenes like that really do stick around. These
Hmm.
are very special people. the Kuros and the Puppies and the No-Tails, these are very special people. And there's a reason why they're winning, and they've been winning. And it was very clear to me right away, like speaking to the guy for just a moment. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean so MP was the one that recommended you. So how did you? I mean, that is an interesting thing. Like, how do you deal with somebody? I don't want to like say ego is a bad way about Puppy, but a player that's so credentialed and such a recognized captain. Like, I'm not surprised that was your reaction when you joined the team. Like, really, you care about my advice? Like, I think anyone couldn't help but feel that way. Puppy is definitely got a reputation for having strong opinions at times, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge like Puppy fan, and I'm of the opinion that
Same.
Puppy is like IBM to Microsoft and Apple. I think everyone that's played with him,
What an analogy.
they steal from him, and like they do good afterwards, or like there's something that you take away from experiencing the Puppy Dota. And no, I mean you would say ego, but I like
it's not quite ego. That's not
just,
the right word.
no.
But it's like confidence and then some other stuff mixed in there. It's
That's why I say he's a very impressive person, because with all his achievement and me just being a gosh darn nobody, and like just like he gave me a lot of like respect and confidence to say what I want to say, and to be able to do my job. That's why like I could see right away, like, yeah, there's a reason why this guy's winning. These are special people. They really are, man. Like it wasn't difficult at all. It wasn't difficult at all. It was good times.
So what was the transition out like? That was last event you did with Secret was TI9. And I don't know, was there a PR statement about you leaving as a coach? Was there some drama there that I'm forgetting about? What happened?
Dude, I don't even think there was. I don't even think they said a goodbye to me. I don't remember.
That was it. You just drifted away. It's just like curling. You just floated off.
I think my performance as a coach has been declining over the course of Secret's life, and part of that, I think. I mean, I would have to take a lot of responsibility in that. Maybe I got too complacent. Maybe this is the transition I need, the kick that I needed. But it wasn't rough or anything.
I mean, is fourth at TI really that bad? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you say that like you guys bombed out. You got fourth at TI9. I guess before that, you guys were you placed poorly at the Epicenter Major, but there were still a lot of wins in 2019 leading up to that TI. You guys took first at ESL1 Birmingham, MDL Disney, ESL1 Katowice, Chongqing Major. Like you guys were still kicking pretty hard. No, am I?
No, I think we were that season. I think the disappointment was that we didn't win it. And anything, it says there's one winner and like 17 other losers is how you look at things. And TI is brutal. TI is really brutal in that sense. It's the only. I actually. I think a lot of players are probably traumatized by TI of just how brutal it is. It's. Oof, I don't even like watching like these true sites or the post game interviews because it hurts too much. Like, oh, I know that feel. It's the only tournament where things really, really, really hurt.
So it's like life changing. Yeah,
yeah. I think there was a life cycle though. Like I think I was in the end of it. Like I've already contributed enough and said enough things, and sometimes in Dota you just need a change. And Heen was available, and Heen came to me. He asked me, he's like, so this gig's on the table for me, like, and I think it was like he was asking, hey, what do you think, like, do I have your blessing, pretty much. It's like, yeah, of course, like, fucking go for it. It's a great gig, it's great people, like, you'll love it there. It was not at all. It was very good. I'm still incredibly grateful for my time, my tenure at Secret. Learned a lot, made good friends. Practically saved my life, really. And I if anything, there's only I feel sorry that I couldn't do more. But there were moments I do feel good about my contribution to the team. And I will cherish those moments.
I mean, you definitely have a lot to be proud of. There were a lot of trophies. I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying about TI is this brutal all-in tournament, and it feels like we came so close, but that's the finish line. But still, I mean, those tournaments along the way, those majors were big wins. There was some stiff competition in some of those events, so it's still impressive, man.
Yeah, it's just a major was worth 1/30th of a TI, and that's where
how interesting.
It really shouldn't be looked at it that way, but it just kind of ends up being that way.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's and like that. Yeah, winning TI is so disproportionately different from everything else. Even second place at TI, right? I mean, that's still second place is nutso, but first place is that's the real game changer. Things are forever different after that.
I don't think people really truly understand like the gravity of TI. It's as closest thing that we're gonna have to like. I mean, other games, you know, like CS:GO doesn't have a TI, and they have majors. And I dare say that we'll see an incredible change if they had a TI. Because TI is just, you know why TI meta exists, man? It's because TI is the only time when true Dota gets played. It's like the only time.
The real peak, the true 100% conditions, everyone on land, it's all the preparation.
Yeah, it's practically like, this is, you know, like, it's like, people have to win. People have to win. It's like the aliens are invading, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna annihilate you unless you beat us in a series of Dota, and now you're playing for your survival. That's what TI is. TI is like true Dota. True Dota. That's why all these heroes come back every time TI comes around, because that's what Dota should have been about. So everything else is like not really relevant. I mean, like they're relevant for that time period, but when TI comes, towers matter, team fights matter, timings matter, strategy matter at a whole another level. It's a very meaningful event, and it should always be there because it's the truest form of Dota.
Damn. You know, it's like I always knew that, but I've never heard somebody say it that crystal clear. You know, that's like a PSA. Like TI is the only time true Dota is played. That's a bold statement, but I kind of think it's true. I know what you mean. It like when you watch it, it feels different. There's a different level of care. Like it's the only time everyone is playing at like 110% to the point that they like everyone is maxed out. It is the most competitive state that you can be in is TI. It's an elevated state that you can't access until it's actually TI. Like you can't replicate it, right? That's what makes it so precious.
Yeah, because it's because competition is all like relevant to everyone. You know, you can only be as strong as your opponent's gonna push you to be, and there are times when Secret has won majors with not a lot of effort, to be honest. And but you know that's very different when the time TI comes, because then everybody's gonna push you to your limits. Things move fast, really fast.
I mean, speaking of that, do you think back and miss the old like MVP Hot 6 days, like the old KDL when Dota first dropped in Korea, like when Nexon was still the publisher in Korea before League of Legends just completely took over every aspect of esports in your country? I mean, do you ever just like flash back to those days and go, God damn, we didn't know how good we had it? Because I definitely feel that way about like my days at BTS when some of that stuff was going on. Like, damn, there were still like third-party tournament compendiums and all this kind of stuff. Like, just damn, we didn't know how good we had it back then. Or, I mean, I'm curious what it was like from your perspective, flashing back to those days.
Yeah, so those days are the transition between an incredibly gate-kept community of professional Dota to more of an opening world, right? Like that was the because my KDL days were basically Sumail wasn't there yet. Sumail was just this was you know like TI3 to TI4 and TI5 was coming up
pre-DAC.
Yeah, so these were still times when the doors were still very closed, and not terrible, not for like bad reasons either, because there were so few events that people kind of got in on a vouch process. Otherwise, you might not be invited to the next event anymore. You know, it was tough times.
Yeah.
It was early days of Dota 2. Do I miss it? No, not really, because I think it was not a fun experience for me. It was a very humbling experience. So in that sense, it was a very good experience, but it's not an experience that I miss.
It wasn't fun.
It was super rough, dude. It was
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like I lived like below poverty levels, and like I picked up a lot of like health issues and disease during that time. Like it was not
Disease. Ugh.
fun. Yeah, dude, Korea was not fun times. I think especially because I was on the losing team too. Like it was terrible. Um, I think things may have been a bit more different for like Zephyr, because they were the successful team of the Korean scene at the time, and
Mhm.
they might have had more fun, but no, my life was not good. It was ass.
I'm gonna look back. Like the KDL prize pools they weren't that big. Season 1 was 60K. Season 2 was that's for tier 1. Season 2 was 60K again. So it's not like terrible money, but it's not good money either, right?
I mean, at the time, I think it was a lot of money, because the
It
scene was
was.
soft versus the amount of money that was available versus how soft the scene was, which is why, like Purge came, and like
Yeah.
Bamboo came and whatnot, right? But uh, no, it was just not that good. Like I don't really miss it at all. But I think it was a very important experience for my growth as a Dota player, now coach.
Mm.
Like a very necessary one. I wouldn't be here today if not for that experience.
Right. The perspective. Yeah.
Dude, she was rough, man. Like I couldn't even afford like haircuts. Like
I mean, was it because MVP Phoenix wasn't taking care of you? Like, did you guys have player salaries on that squad at all?
no, there was no salary. They gave us
Dang.
food and shelter, but like because not winning shit, there's no money. No, it was just not very good. Uh, yeah.
Still, there's a difference between low salary and zero salary. Zero salary is fucking brutal. Like that's savage.
Yeah, I mean, I think things are a bit different now. I mean, that was already like like 7, 8 years ago. And even the things have improved drastically since then. Although that team is no more, just the overall standards for esports players has risen a lot higher for the younger guys. So good for them.
Yeah,
That's what it should be.
yeah,
So
yeah. So you mentioned, I think before we started recording, but throughout this season, you've been in Korea while the team has been in other parts of Southeast Asia. So you've been sort of remote, but within the region. So you haven't been coaching because normally you're in Canada, right, instead of Korea.
yes.
So how's that been? Like you mentioned the pub culture and stuff like that. Is that really is it like the local meta is a big part of being able to analyze as a coach? So you need to be able to play in the region to see what the locals are up to. Is that part of the logic of being within the same kind of server space?
I think it's relative to um my like if I were a Dota god, I don't think it mattered. But because I'm far from that, me being here is very, very like important. And it's not even the enemy team. It's like trying to understand like my team and like
Mm,
my team's perspective on what they think is strong. Like I need to vibe with our guys. So if I'm not vibing with our guys, then they feel bad about like what I'm saying. They don't, then like I feel like an asshole, and like it just makes the environment not very fun. Um, and even if it might not be true, they will think that way. It's like,
yeah.
so there's a human element to it. There always is. So when when success is on the line, we have to do everything that we can in order to increase that chance. So that's why I'm
Right.
here.
Okay. Is it, and I have no idea what your situation is like. Like, do you have family in Korea? Like, is it nice to be back in Korea, or would you rather be in Canada? Is it kind of both are awesome and it's just different? I'm curious what the comparison's like having a foot on each base.
No, I don't really have family in Korea. My grandma's like 94 years old, so there's that. But I'm not really close with the other relatives.
Mm.
And the rest of them are in like in other parts of Korea, and it's hard to visit, especially during COVID times.
Yeah.
It's inconsiderate for me to visit them. But I like Korea, but I also, there's always a love and hate, I think. I'm not a big fan. I think I enjoy the chillness of Canada more. But
Where are
Canada
you
can be very
normally in
boring.
Canada? Toronto,
Oh my
Vancouver?
God. No, I'm near Toronto, but like, it's like the boondocks.
Oh,
There's
okay.
really nothing there, and I kind of like that.
All
I
right.
like being bored.
All right. That's very gamer-esque. I just want to have my little cave and a nice quiet spot and play my games. Leave me the hell alone. I like it. Are you near Seoul in Korea?
Oh, I'm in Seoul.
In
I'm in
Seoul, yeah.
I'm in the Itaewon area, which if any like people who are kind of familiar with the like K-dramas, they would know this area because there was recently a drama about it here. But this is kind of like the ghettos of Seoul, but it's not really dangerous or anything. It's just undesired as much.
Undesired. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've only
Uh,
been to Korea once. When we can travel again, I'm excited to go back. But yeah,
Great place to visit.
I can't. I remembered for a while, but I hung out with a couple of the like Overwatch casters and StarCraft casters, like Tasteless and that crew, like Wolf, those guys. I don't know if you ever.
Oh, those guys are a lot of fun, I believe. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I used to see them a few times, like at events. This has been here forever.
yeah. They've got a little group of like what's her Jenna Bain is there now, and a couple other people have relocated to Korea. They got a little crew of like foreigner esports people that all hang out, and God, I can't remember the name of it. It's like there's like a military base, I think. So there's a lot of foreigners. There's an American military base nearby. They all go drink there. I can't remember. I keep wanting to say Wuhan, and I know that's not it. I've just heard that word way too much, and it's clouding my memories now. Fuck.
Yeah, I kind of know where it is, but I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, I think StarCraft recently just dropped all the English casters.
Oh, really?
So yeah, that's unfortunate for Tasteless.
Damn. I
It's
noticed they
gone.
were doing Valorant stuff. I saw Artosis tweet something about it. So maybe they're making the pivot, I guess.
Always gotta, right? It's
Is
yeah.
StarCraft still popping in Korea though? Like I feel like that's like your country is keeping StarCraft alive from the little bits that I hear about that game these days.
I don't know about StarCraft 2, but I know StarCraft 1 is still going
Are you serious? You
relatively
guys are
strong.
still playing Brood War?
Brood War is actually, yeah, it's had a recent revival in the past few years, and the scene itself is still
Wow.
like there. Um, yeah,
Is
yeah,
the
surprisingly young guys playing it too, right? Like there's like 23, 24-year-olds playing it, 22-year-olds playing it. It's like, why are you getting into StarCraft?
did
This
you
game came out when you were born.
did you grow up in Korea or did you grow up in Canada?
I grew up half in Korea and half in Canada, so to say. But at this point, not anymore. I guess
So
I'm too old.
I mean, I'm curious. Like, were you exposed to like StarCraft marketing as a kid? Like, as a foreigner, the first thing that I really got into with StarCraft was GSL, and I remember staying up late and watching that shit and being like blown away by the production of just all the crazy quick cuts. I mean, it was better produced than some sports I've seen in North America. So, like, obviously, they had been broadcasting StarCraft for a long time. They had it down to a fucking science. Is is it like the foreigner effect that I'm wowed of, or is that wow like appropriate? Is it actually that impressive even like in the local culture as well?
I think gaming as a culture has really established itself very well in Korea from early on. Um, but like I think nowadays Korea is outpaced in their esports culture by other nations.
Hmm.
So Brood War came out in 1997. I mean, sorry, StarCraft 1 came out in 1997. Brood War came out in 1999. I left Korea in 1999, and
Mm.
I remember StarCraft was crazy when I was like growing up, like in that 2-year period. I remember going to the bookstore, and the very first guy that won a StarCraft tournament, he wrote a book, and I still remember the title. It was literally translated. It's like follow everything that I do. Just follow everything that I do, and that was the title of the book. And I remember seeing it, and I was like, wow, there's a freaking StarCraft like strategy book in a bookstore. So it really seamlessly blended in with the culture. PC cafes started like popping up everywhere, and yeah, it was.
Hmm.
But I was not allowed to go to the PC cafes because it was like for adults,
It's
kind
for
of.
degenerates.
Yeah, there's a lot of smoking, and it was really dimly lit rooms, and it was not nice. The kids couldn't go.
Yeah, tobacco
Um,
culture is wild in Korea. It really stood out to me as an American, where you can't really smoke inside, but you can kind of smoke inside in a lot of places where it's like not. It's like it seems pretty highly tolerated. Like there were a lot of
it
bars that I
depends
went
on,
to that were
yeah.
kind of underground, and people would. It's like they step outside the door, but they're still kind of standing inside while smoking, sort of thing. There was a lot of that stuff.
And it really changes fast. It's a country that really changed super fast. Like, if you leave for 1 year and come back, you'll see that like a lot of things have changed. The turnover rates of these like stores and stuff is extremely high. They come and go super fast. So like even like a few years ago, I think you could smoke inside like LAN cafes. And now I believe it's just like
It's done.
completely not allowed, or they have a different room for it.
I
Things
see.
move so quickly, and people are very used to things moving quickly that they don't realize. But as a foreigner coming stepping in and out of the country, you realize that like all the stores you loved is now just gone, like within a year's time or whatever. Like there's used to be so many bubble tea shops here, like end of 2019. I can't find any. I can't find any.
Really?
I don't know where they all went, but
Yeah,
I can't find any.
taken over by traditional coffee shops. All the Starbucks clones, dude.
I just can't find any. So like, but it's a country of fast trends, and things move so quickly here. It is what it is.
Huh. I mean, that makes sense, though. It's a country known for a lot of innovation and things that move. Like being technologically advanced means you're consistently adopting new technology. So it makes sense that shit changes real quick. I mean,
Yeah, it's a rat race.
yeah,
It's a rat race here.
y'all have no shortage of technology. All right, I want a hard pivot. I want to ask you about these South America tweets, buddy. What's going on with SunBhie and SA Dota, specifically the one the day after Christmas? Do you remember this one? South America Dota like to complain that their scene gets shit on all the time, but their sponsored pros are the least professional in pubs. So when you don't value your own craft, the scene doesn't value you. Can you really complain? Um,
I mean, I'm just crying because I had a bad experience in pub. That's what it is. There's like probably a nugget of truth there, which is relevant to not just SA but probably NA too, because there are clearly um, those people in both regions. But no, it's true though. Like
That was one of my follow-ups. I was like, is it really worse than NA? Because I was watching Jenkins play pubs last night, and it looked pretty fucking bad.
I mean, I will never know until there's total segregation, but
Yeah.
I do think like I think people would be disingenuous and like they'd be lying to themselves that a big portion of the games are just ruined by a lot of like SA players. Uh and there's no culture of responsibility, well, in either regions really. Actually, this actually there's a very funny topic about this, which is relevant to match fixing, betting on games or whatever.
Hmm.
Like the standards of living, cost of living is the highest in North America. It's higher than Europe even. But okay, like let's count Europe too. Europe and NA, two highest standards of living, cost of living. Why is it that in these two regions you have the lowest rate of like match fixing? Um, like if it shouldn't in a sense shouldn't it be higher because cost of living is higher? If
It,
money is
if
truly
it's
the issue
money,
that people are talking, yeah,
yeah,
if it's money. So obviously there's like a culture of like responsibility, accountability in this regards to
and a culture
regions
of
that are rampant.
ethics. Being
Yeah,
being raised to understand that cheating on a bet is like just not acceptable behavior. Like
yeah,
if I told my parents I did that as a kid or something, they would have been upset about the ethics of it. It wouldn't have been excused by, yeah, but did you make $5? Oh, okay, then it's cool. It's no,
yeah.
it's the principle.
I mean, it's like I say, I have an immense respect for like good players that are like trying to make their best. You know, like I don't always like I don't go out of my way recognizing these people and giving them like
That could be a dank YouTube video though, buddy.
I mean, I don't try to like give them a high five or whatever, but because like that's what's expected of you. You should, but like players like Moose, who is a great guy. You know, he's trying his hardest. He's a true professional from what I can see. And a lot of the Brazilian players, I have a lot of respect for them, and because like they're trying to make it, they're trying to do it. I can see it. I can see the hustle. They're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other players who are just complete assholes, and that's not nice because it takes only one guy to ruin a game. You know.
That's true.
But if you like click player conduct and it says like if you're the 80% of people have low reports like you or something like I'm like 80% is not that's like what? That's not good enough, man. That's like it only takes one guy to ruin a game.
Apply it
There's
to
200
Uber,
people-
you know?
There's two guys that are like assholes, really?
Yeah.
Your chance of getting assholes in the game is 2 out of 10, like 20%.
Pretty high.
That's- That's too high, man.
That basically means you're lucky to get a game that is just a normal game that isn't ruined, you know, let alone be one that you can play your hero or do your thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so it sounds like you strongly believe that match fixing is disproportionate across the regions. I don't have clear data on this. I suspect this is true, but I can't say for certain that match fixing is more or exchange of insider information, unethical behavior involving gambling on player stuff. South America, Southeast Asia, CIS, disproportionate compared to China, North America, Europe. Would you say that's a true statement?
I think I'll just do no comment on that one.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think partially because I remember the podcast I did with Gods where he said something and like we framed it poorly, but that idea of like 75% of games in Southeast Asia have some sort of manipulation going on, whether it's a first blood
75.
or an F10K, whatever. And it's like that number is obviously not like I don't have like a spreadsheet and they're like, look, it's 73.2%. But he said that's just from speaking to people in the scene, speaking to people that work at betting companies that kind of collude on that data and monitor that stuff, that it's hard to know, but there's a shitload of what would be labeled sus behavior going on to the point that it's, you know,
Excuse me.
it's pretty staggering.
Depends on the team culture, really. I know for a fact that in my short time with TNC in 2017, that they were not the type of people to do any of that. They were really good kids. You know, they would gather and like pray before matches, and these are good kids. They were actually the as I understand, the formation of that team was just handpicked players, like good players from the that they enjoy playing with in pubs, and they were great people, and they still continue to be great people. I know Boom wouldn't do anything like that. Those guys are good kids. Are there people like that? Probably. I don't really know. It's not something that I like actively go and like search for.
Right.
It's really like under my radar, not because I'm above it or whatever. It's just I'm busy. I'm busy.
Feel you.
Like
no, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm curious though. Did you catch the headline about 0900 getting banned and read into the details of that? Because that was supposedly Jericho betting on. All right, the real story is that 0900 went 2-1 against Team Inverse, who were bottom of the group, and people accused them of throwing Game 2 in that series. They stomped Game 1. You know you can win the series, and they placed a bet on Inverse to take at least one game. So to prove that did not happen, Jericho booted up his stream to show the bets that he supposedly placed on his team to win, proving that they wouldn't have thrown intentionally because then he would have lost money. And then once it became apparent that, like, dude, you can't bet on yourself either, that's like basically just as bad, it got pivoted to, no, these are my friends' bets that I'm showing, but, you know, I just told him that we were going to have a good day or that we were going to slaughter him or whatever. So then it became this conversation about players exchanging insider information. And I think that's where the dialogue ended to be somewhat useful. Obviously, betting on yourself isn't good, even if it's to win, but telling your friend, like, hey, I know they're going to have a stand-in, or I know that we've got this new pocket strat or whatever, then your friend places bets for you. You can't fucking do that, right? That's common knowledge. Am I crazy? Like, as a player / coach, is that common knowledge to you? Have you ever heard a rule, or has Valve ever told you, like, explicitly that insider information is akin to unethical behavior? Because Jericho kind of died on that hill of, I didn't bet on myself to lose. Intentional throwing is what match fixing is. And my stance is that match fixing and unethical behavior encompasses more than just intentionally throwing a match.
I think I just draw the line at don't bet on your games. Or I think Valve said in the past, like, just don't bet on any games. I think something like that.
Just don't touch it.
Yeah, I think that's what is expected of you too, right? But I'm not really sure if I'm blurring the lines of, like, the values that I grew up on versus what is, like, common knowledge or whatever. But look, like, my values are all mixed up because I grew up in, like, both Korea and Canada. But in Korea, like, match fixing, especially in esports, is a huge no-no. Huge no-no, because
it's like jail time, right? Haven't StarCraft players gone to jail?
They super go to, you're a criminal. Yeah. You're a criminal. Which was the irony for me was when T1, what was a Korean company, now bought out by, I guess, Comcast or something. But anyway, they hired the former CS:GO match fixer. To me, this was culturally, like, really weird because, like, dude, your legacy is a Korean company, and you're hiring a felon in Korean standards, pretty much. It's a very serious deal. It's super unacceptable. So for me, it's just like, nope. I don't touch it. I don't even want to be associated with it. Don't talk to me about it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Jericho should not have done that, obviously.
I mean, that's a good stance for you to take, I think. I feel you. That was sort of my side. I was stunned that they were so eager to blur the lines of, like, well, no, this isn't the same. Like, dude, you're like poking the hornet's nest and hoping not that many hornets fly out. And I got news for you. I don't think he's playing in the second season. And in the podcast, he seemed confident they'd be able to play in the second season. I'm not so confident, but we'll see.
I'm not so sure. Like, I think Jericho, like, his heart was kind of in the right place of, like, dude, we're just confident that we're gonna win. Like, and not in a bad way either. It's like, we're just better team. Like, we're gonna win. Yeah. Not with any information like, like that the other team has a food poisoning and I knew that before that. No, I don't think it was like that. It's just he believed in his own team. But don't get involved. Don't get involved, guys. Like, why are you, like, I mean, it's a weird thing because, like, what's the deal? Like, are you having trouble putting food on the table? Do you not have a roof over your head? If everything is going well, why are you doing that? It's weird to me.
I think greed is the only answer that I can throw into the hat there. But what the real shame of this, though, is what I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I suspect that there's going to be a follow-up conversation here about team accountability. So let's say, for example, all 5 of you are living in a team house. The 5 of you have PCs in the same room in a U shape where you play all your matches. If that one player is placing bets in that room, do the other 4 players know? And is it appropriate to hold them liable as complicit if they tactfully look the other way on it? That is a complicated conversation as well.
Extremely, because there have been cases when in the current season of VPC, the teammates playing from their own homes in the current COVID situation have reported on their ally player, like, doing that, and Valve just disqualified them, right? They just DQ them all. And it's just I'm not really sure. That seems a bit unfair to me because I feel like they were doing due diligence and they're trying to make the best decision that they can, and the end result is that they all get punished in some way or another. That's a bit unfair to me, but I'm not sure how do you fix all that?
We don't want to de-incentivize whistleblowers, that's for sure, because whistleblowers that have frontline evidence are one of the few ways we can, with extreme confidence, feel okay about a lifetime ban, right? That's why this stuff is so messy, because you can't falsely accuse someone. That alone really fucks somebody's shit up. So you got to be, like, real sure, like a shitload of evidence. We are positive this happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it happened multiple times. So, yeah, I think anybody who's on a team, like, Wasn't there that weird example in North America in one of the BTS events where is it DNZ? Is that his handle? Where two of his teammates were in on the fix, but he wasn't. So his teammates started disconnecting and pretended to have internet issues. And then he carried the game with the two players. Like he played 3 heroes and they still won. And
what a champ, right?
Yeah,
I love that guy. Actually, that guy's a hero.
And I don't think he got in trouble because, like, you look at that and you're just like, it is so obvious. This guy was like, guys, what the fuck is happening right now? Please, like, he was just trying his hardest to win, and like, it's a very clear example where he wasn't in on it. But fuck, man, it's not always that clear. The games don't always shake out like that, right?
I mean, we don't know if he would have been punished or not under the DPC system. Because that was not a DPC event.
That's a good point. That was just a BTS event. Right, fair.
Yeah, so like I absolutely
that's scary to think about.
I have so much respect for that kid. It was 3 of his teammates that were doing shady stuff, and the 2 of them just held their ground and like, we're gonna win like 2v5, and they did. Like, what? It's so godlike. It's so good.
Dude. That's
oh my god,
such a sick story, and it's also just an amazing fuck you to the match fixers, right? Like whatever money they put on that fix, they lost, and that makes it even sweeter. So that's.
And he's a young kid too. Young kid.
Yeah.
He's like what, 17, 18? He's a young
like
kid with good values, man. True competitor. No, I love that kid. Love that guy. He doesn't know it, but amazing.
No, I love it, dude. But I've definitely got a soft spot for South America. I feel like covering this season of DPC, interviewing the players and getting to know them a little more made me a little more empathetic of some of the struggle in the region. And I can't stop seeing these parallels from when I joined BTS in 2014 and how the Southeast Asian scene was sort of in this shambles state, struggling with infrastructure, struggling with connectivity. Teams were changing rosters like crazy. The pubs were notorious for disconnects and pause and toxicity. It's like SA is so similar to Southeast Asia, just like 6 or 7 years behind. They're in like a time warp where they're just starting to catch up now that SA is a part of DPC, but there's still a really long way to go. Like most of the players that we sent this questionnaire out to players, and one of the questions I said, what would you do if you won a major? What would you do with the prize money? And basically all the lower division teams said, I would buy a house for my family, and then I would start an esports team that actually takes care of players. Like, that's alarming that all the players in that region have this feeling of, there's like a couple orgs here. Most of them are super corrupt. We don't really trust them. We need to start our own generation of players that take care of other players. Like, that is cool and potentially promising to me.
I mean, I don't know what the story or the situation is. I think there are a handful of players that I enjoy playing with in pubs. When I get them, it's a pleasure, because Dota should be a fun game, and anyone that makes Dota a not fun game, I think, is like they should be jailed, honestly.
Very pragmatic.
Yeah, no, fuck them, honestly. Dota's a fun game, and it's the best game, but like people should really like try to have fun. It's a fun game, man. It's a great game, and I don't know what's going on there, but as long as like they're eating. They're like eating and like there's roof over their head and they got beds. I don't know.
And a computer. That's the other big one. I've noticed there are definitely some of the younger players. They're like the lack of access to LAN cafes because of COVID. I think definitely did hurt some players that have had to adjust and find other means. But there are definitely players playing on we're talking about Hertz over here. They're not even hitting 60 FPS.
Oh, that's rough. I mean, that's rough.
That infrastructure still, I think because there's no like journalism and there's no boots on the ground doing coverage of it, and all of their content is scattered about Facebook and impossible to find if you don't speak Spanish or Portuguese. We don't really see it, but I bet if we were to look at those 16 teams and uppers and lowers SA lined up and look at their rigs, we would be stunned at some of the like laptops from the early 2000s that are still chugging along, running Dota at the lowest settings possible. And it's like when you factor some of that stuff in, you go, man, I wonder what these guys would play like if you took off those shackles and just gave them one of the extra computers I have sitting next to me right now that hasn't been powered on in a year. Like we take that hardware shit so much for granted. And that was one thing I realized a lot, just getting to know these players a little more.
That's my upbringing too. And I think a lot of like NA players, we might be in different places in life now, but like back 2013, before I joined MVP, I had a shitty laptop that ran Dota at like lowest settings, like 30 FPS, and I went to tournaments with it, in the local tournaments with it. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of my friends were super ghetto as well. Like Dota was not, Dota was a ghetto ass game for ghetto ass people, and it was rough. I mean, I would argue that it's still rough in NA because
Oh yeah.
there's no community support really. Like um I mean, none of the teams are really sponsored. Like I look at DPC, like who's sponsored in the Div 1 of NA Dota. Like it's rough everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like it makes things work. I'm not saying that like it doesn't make things. It's not bad for the SA. It's just
No, I mean I think you're right about NA as
Dota's
well.
just rough everywhere, man.
It's yeah, you're not wrong about that. NA, I'm so sad for because like we had orgs, like things were growing, and losing orgs, it hurts so much. Like I've talked about this so many times before, but when you have a contract with a buyout clause, that like it protects a certain amount of equity within the system, right? Somebody has to pay money to move you to another team, and that's part of what allows the ecosystem to thrive because people can come in and make business decisions, invest in you as a player, invest in your team, whatever. When teams like JStorm just pull the plug and then ejector seat the fuck out of there and it's just gone, it's like, all right, that sponsored team just went to a salary-less business associates. Basically, now you're a group of friends playing Dota to try to qualify for these tournaments to get a paycheck. It's like that is such a night and day difference in reality, and there's money lost when those contracts disappear. It's like it's gonna take us years to rebuild that lost equity, man. It fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Undying, Quincy, Zoomers, the best of our scene outside of like EG really. Isn't EG pretty much like the only sponsor team
Yeah.
in NA?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's literally EG. They're the only ones getting salaries in NA.
Yeah, that's rough.
It's really
Yep.
bad. And I don't know what the right solution. I mean, there is a world where like what's the Valve mindset, right? Free market. Once it bottoms out, that means there's a business opportunity here. Some genius can come in and scoop up Quincy Crew for a value play where at least there's no buyout clauses. But even then, who's interested? I mean, I wonder if they've even gotten any offers. I would
I'm sure
hope
they got
so.
offers, but probably nothing that they find interesting. That's that would be my guess. It's
Yeah.
just
Offers that
I
aren't
don't know,
worth a damn.
maybe someone has to settle at some point because, you know, zero income outside of like tournament winnings, which are very minor right now.
Yeah.
And there was no TI last year. So actually from last year to this year, the prize pool in Dota has been pretty low. Unless you're Europe. Europe had nice ones.
What do you
But
think
yeah.
they're going to do with these TI prize pools? Like, are we just going to get a double TI 10? Like, are we going to get another battle pass at the end of this season? Or like, what's your bold prediction of what's going to happen with the 40 million we've already raised? As you said at the beginning of this podcast, what a great way to go full circle. Money's been just disappearing. We were pretty stoked about hitting that big number. Now what? Haven't heard a lot of updates about where that big purse is going.
Yeah, my guess is that if they do another compendium, which they may do because money's nice, money's always nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Valve really feels indebted to the community to bring it like to give it back to them because I feel
They
like Valve might feel like, well, we gave you guys hats. The compendium was the product.
That is
Like all
exactly
that
how they
was the
feel about
content.
it. That is
Yeah.
I can guarantee that is exactly how they're like, what do you mean? We had some goods, you bought the goods, some of it went to this thing. It's over. You bought it. You still have the goods. There you go.
Yeah.
It's done.
I think they look at Dota like I don't feel like they feel responsible like or indebted to the community. Like Valve's like we don't owe you shit. I think that's how they would feel. I'm obviously I don't know. Will they do another compendium? They might. Where would that money go? I don't know. I think it's against the Valve's interest to do combined prize pool, not because it's like so much money that they're throwing it away to the community, but because I think Valve is trying to purposely beat the TI record, TI prize pool record, inch by an inch, so that they make the headlines every year. But if they suddenly make $100 million like tournament, which just saying it is so fucking ridiculous. It's not gonna happen. But like if they do, then they will not be able to beat it in the following year, and they'll be missing out on that headline.
Right.
And I think they want that headline. So, um, I believe it's gonna be the usual, like, still ridiculous TI prize pool. However, I don't know what will happen with the rest of the money. I think it might just vanish.
Because I think you are right about that whole. You don't. It's going to happen at some point. You won't be able to keep one-upping the prize pool forever, but you want to delay that point as long as possible. So they're not just going to drop an $80 million TI, just combining like
Yeah.
the 40 million with another 40 million run or something.
Yeah, I think they can continue to beat it as long as they keep inching it. And I think
Yes.
they have the tools to keep inching it. Like, they can hustle it because all you need to do is make the compendium attractive enough for just like 5% more attractive or 10% more attractive for people to spend that little bit more for it to break it. I think they have full control. They have the money printing machine in that regards, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to put the hurdle so high that, it becomes so obvious to the
Yeah.
masses.
And plus, I mean, if they really get in trouble, they can always cater to China with a couple specific sets. And I mean, we know that that is the big base that really opens up the wallet. So,
Yeah.
they're waiting. You know, they're the sleeper.
Yeah, or the Saudi prince.
Yeah, that's true. The whales. I mean, that's an option. We know Saudi's really looking to spend some marketing dollars. They can't find anywhere to spend it. Apparently, they're trying to buy up movies now or something because they tried esports and everyone had to turn them away after all the fan reaction. So there's money up for grabs. I have had a few consulting phone calls with potential events in Saudi, and both times I have walked away when they get to the point of, now you're going to have to toe the line on the talking points about how great this country is for women's rights. And I go, I don't think I can do that.
It's actually not that bad there.
Yeah, really? Okay.
I've been.
That's what they said. Basically, one of the like contingencies of funding a big Dota LAN there would be we would have to run a women's only tournament on the side and like hype it up as, look, equal opportunity here in Saudi for women and men. Look at this cool, like, I don't know. It scares me a little to stamp my name on something like that you know it's. I don't know how bad it is, but I know that that's designed to be like that's all marketing, right? It's a really. That's a little scary. I don't know. I've never. I mean, have you been? Have you been to Saudi? Is it cool? Am I selling it short?
I've been there a few times, and every time it's been a pleasure.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
And yeah, like all I can say is like there's a huge disparity between what is media and what was reality to me, and
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
extremely different, extremely different.
Wow.
I'm sure the horror stories are to a degree real.
Were you there for esports or was it other like real life stuff?
Just some like personal stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, no, it's fun. Like it's very different, man. Like it's actually like opened my eyes to like, are things really as like they seem?
Fuck, dude.
But
Don't get me started. What do we really know, man? Oh god.
no, it's really fun. Like I don't know. It's actually like it's kind of funny once you like experience it. It's like, that's so weird, so different. But the hate boner is real, so it's like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And to say like to deny some of the things that were committed is also disingenuous. So like the bad things did happen.
Yeah.
It's an interesting country.
I just watched the Khashoggi documentary that came out about that journalist that they killed at the embassy.
Right.
That was, I don't know, man. That story's pretty fucked. That's one of those documentaries that ends and you're like, I knew how it was going to end, but somehow I'm like way more bummed out than I thought I would be because it's just ubiquitously sad. It's just one of those like straight up human right violations, and they tortured this guy and cut him up and then just completely got away with it because they got the money. Like, it makes me so upset to think about. I don't want to get too political, but if you haven't seen it, that documentary it's really well done. A lot of really good footage.
This is very politics. So
yeah, sorry, my bad.
No worries.
My bad. I've been reading a lot of politics recently. It's on the brain, but
it got there.
I appreciate it, man. No, I appreciate you, dude. You are a great podcast guest. You're a man of many words, and you've got a lot to say, dude. I really appreciate all your insight here. Anything else you want to get off your chest? Oh, the anime. That was the other big one I wanted to ask you about. Are you an anime guy, and are you excited about the Dota anime coming up? Are you in the camp of optimistic that it's going to save Dota, or is it just like a cool whatever, but it's not going to make a difference?
I think everybody I think people know it's gonna like I think people hope that it's gonna be good, but I think people kind of know that it's gonna suck. And if it's good, then I'll be obviously very happy. Keep my expectations low. Am I an anime guy? Not really. I think I mean I do like. I'm one of those like read the manga. Uh, I like reading manga because they're quicker, and there's a lot of like source material that gets omitted in the anime version because and like I rarely like dislike that because like the manga is true to the artist's vision, whereas anime is like it's more commercial.
It's like an adaptation, yeah.
Right. Um. Anyway, I'll probably watch it. Right, it's coming out on like 25th, which is like
It's pretty
good.
soon, a
Like,
couple weeks, yeah.
yeah, I'll probably watch it in Singapore during quarantine even. Like,
There you
I'll
go,
just binge
dude.
it.
That's
Yeah,
hype.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it'll make a dent? Like, did you see the thing that Slacks is doing with this new player experience? Do you think it'll actually lead to a huge rush of new players? And if so, do you think any of them are actually going to stick around beyond like 50 to 100 hours of gameplay?
I mean, maybe we'll get a new pro from it. Like, you just never know. Like,
That'd be cool.
yeah, no, I do think it'll bring in some players. But Dota is a hard game to get into. And it clearly doesn't care. And I don't even think it's a bad thing about like new player experience or whatever. Like, because they just add in like 115 new abilities with the shards and whatnot, and they're like, or 115 or whatever. They clearly don't care. Like in that the game, as long as the game's fun to play.
Yeah.
Dota makes changes for the players that it has. No, I hope the new players come, man. It'd be great. So that I can beat them up with my Smurf.
There you go. There you go. Scare them all away. I was talking to Cap last night, and one of the things he said was like, I would have made a new player experience like 8 years ago, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. But now, I mean, we're 10 years in. Does it really fucking matter? You've either wanted to try the game or you haven't. Like, you're either going to try it and like it or you're not. Does it matter at this point? And I didn't really have a good counter argument for him. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe this new player experience thing is a sham and the data is such that people get introduced through their friends anyway, and that personalized experience is what's a make it or break it for him. So the tutorial is really just a wash. If you're playing Dota by yourself, you're probably not going to stick around. It's a social game, right? That's generally what keeps people engaged. Maybe that's the data point we're all missing. I don't know.
I don't think anyone really knows the answer to these things. Like I'm pretty skeptical that like new player. I want them to kill the Smurf culture as best as they can. Like that, I agree with. But about like player tutorial and stuff, I don't think for me. That's not that important. Like if they put in all that effort into killing Smurfs and boosters, I think that's better. I think that is the tutorial. Playing with other noobs. I think that is the tutorial.
Yeah.
Just play the game, man, and like just learn like everybody else did, playing with other noobs. But I think Smurfs thing is quite real. It's become way more commercial than like I'm not in the Smurfing scene or the boosting scene, so I don't know really what it is like. But I feel like it's become way more commercial and way more prevalent than ever before. It's like systematic. I feel like, and how is that good for the game? I don't see how that's good for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's another one of these things when there's no police force, right? When there's no watchdog, then it starts to grow, right? It starts to spread. It's like the fucking Zerg. As more people realize, oh, I can just pay $50 to get my account boosted 700 MMR. Well, shit, I make $30 an hour. That's value town. And once that becomes more enabled and more streamlined, it all feeds itself,
I mean, I don't know what the rationale is. I think they're a bunch of losers. The people that buy it, like total losers.
The rationale is cognitive dissonance. I mean, that's all it is. But it's just it's stupid. I agree with you. Yeah,
it's absolutely stupid. And like, I don't know, man. I really wish it were gone because sometimes I'm just left wondering. I'm playing with like other immortals or whatever. My MMR is embarrassingly low, so it's not like I'm great or whatever. But I'm supposedly
7K, 8K, something like that.
I'm like 7K-ish, sometimes even lower. It's really pathetic. I don't know how I can even coach people. I'm a real fraudster. But like I'm still 0.01%, 0.02 percentile of the like, and I'm playing this game, and I'm like looking at this guy playing, and he's also another immortal within the 0.02%. Is Dota such a hard game that like these simple things are this hard to this guy? Like it just makes me wonder, like. And Dota is actually really a crazy hard game too, I think, because I played a little bit of like Valorant, and I think it's kind of easy to tell where you fucked up. Um, if you see the guy before he saw you, and you took the first couple shots, and he got to kill you, you know why. You know why you lost. You just didn't click on his head fast like better. You just suck.
Yeah.
There's no
There's not any
other arguments.
interpretation. There's no like I should have
Yeah.
bought this item, I should have done this. It's a pretty straightforward set of variables.
Yeah,
You missed
Dora
him.
is just so like it's just so hard to convince someone that like, hey, like you can't be here. Like we can't be in the same screen right now. And the guy's just like you just think you're toxic, but you're like actually like, dude, we just can't be on the same screen right now. Like you can't show, like these things are just too hard to convey. It's so hard to convey.
It's a game of
Weird game.
inches, and there's just
really
it's so much data and so many variables. That's why it's so addictive, because even for like the best of the best of the best, it's hard to say at any given moment you played 100% perfectly optimally. You know, you played like a robot, you played like OpenAI or whatever, because there's still other, you can always abuse the fog of war a little bit more. You can, there's always something you can min max a little bit better. It's beyond the human scope to play Dota flawlessly. Like no one has ever played a perfect game of Dota, right?
Yeah.
It's
Dota is the best game that I've ever played. I mean, it's so good that it's ruined my life practically. Like it's pretty much ruined my life until I made a life out of it, right? Like it's such an amazing game.
Are you dating at all? A little personal. I don't know what your personal life is like, but what is it for a full-time Dota coach working 6 days a week? How's the Tinder game out there in Korea?
Well, I wouldn't know because I don't Tinder up here. Yeah, no, I'm in a relationship. It's been not easy, I think, through the COVID, but it's going okay.
Is your SO a gamer, or are they totally like outside the Dota space?
No, not a gamer, not a Dota player.
Oh, okay. So is that hard, like to find that balance? Like, do they get it? Do they understand your crazy love and passion for this fucking video game? Or is it like, because that's something I've struggled with. Like, you know, Midas mode, that was like 3 months of my life of just everything else is on hold. I have to focus on this. That's a hard thing for people outside of esports to understand. Like, they just don't get it. Like, why do you care about this shit so much? Why are you willing to put your life on hold to do this thing? Why is it so important to you compared to our relationship? That's like a tough question to answer sometimes when you're sucked into esports world.
I don't know. I mean, my partner seems to understand. Okay, I'm okay with it.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not very good at this stuff.
Fair enough. I'm just always curious about real life balance stuff, because like gamers go in, you know. So it's just I don't know, sometimes it leads to interesting stories. But anyway, man, well, I think we can wrap it up here unless you got anything else. I really appreciate your time. This has been a blast.
Oh, I think I talked a lot. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Very good. Well, folks, make sure you check out Fnatic's run at the Major and give SunBhie a follow. Are you streaming or anything these days? Anything you want to plug here? Twitter, Facebook? Where can people find you?
You can. I'm not really streaming much anymore, so please. There are some people that kind of sub still. They're not a lot, but please don't. Because please save your money. You can follow me at Twitter, SunBhie Dota, and you know, shout outs to everyone that make all this possible. My manager plus Dota director Eric, he puts in a hell of a work to make our team function. Fnatic and all the sponsors. Thank you so much. And yeah, see our running at Major.
Hell yeah, dude. There you go. Well, good luck. I'll catch you later.
Peace.